Greetings, listener. I am Jane Doe, writer, producer, director, supermodel, empress, judge, jury, executioner, etc., etc. And you are listening to A Year of Horror. This month's genre is a creature feature. Well, if you squint. Enjoy The Mill. Summit wrong. Who's that? A friend. You needn't start. Yeah, hello, sorry, do you have water? It's been a time since I've had anything to drink. Of course, friend. There's a stream running through here. Safe to drink. Well, there's not a stream here. You're alright, friend. Sorry. Yes, thank you. Do you have a bottle? Yes, I do. Thank you. Again. Would you like to take a chair? A chair? Aye. Right there. Oh, I hadn't noticed, sorry. Well, yeah, yes, I suppose no harm. You're looking at me funny, friend. Sorry, this must sound, awfully strange, but you sort of, you kind of look like someone I used to know. Your dad? Yes, how did... So you can tell me about what's got you in such a state? It's these woods, I suppose. The woods? Yeah, I've been hiking this forest for the past 13 years, my friend. There is nothing wrong with the woods. There is nothing wrong with the woods. Continue your story, love. Yeah, but the woods were so sweet. I know I paused to watch a butterfly. It was the gentle, deep blue of kind of like a river at its core, and it changed through a sort of, you know, when they have those near imperceptible gradients to the light blue, like of cornflower petals, and I remember the tips of the wings. They were black, and it was like they had frostbite. I followed its flight attentively, and it alighted ever so gently on the open stomach of a rabbit's corpse. There it perched and drank deep of the rabbit's innards like a thirsting man from a wineskin. I know I paused to assess the body because I noticed that the head was embedded deep into the tree it lay beside. It was fit so snug, so it was like the oak had grown up around the creature's rotting head overnight. That's impossible, love. I realise that. You've been awfully kind, but I need to go home. I'm afraid. Where was I? You're telling me your story. Oh. Well, a few days after I found the rabbit, I went out with my brother. He's a few years younger than me, just about to cross the threshold into adulthood. I took him out to teach him how to set the traps and when to check them. I would have taught him when he was younger, when I felt he was ready. He needs to know these things. There's no outside help for us here, not anymore, but our mother didn't want him leaving the settlement until his 14th year, and so on the first light of his 14th, we set out with the minimal supplies. We left our mother weaving and our brother sleeping off another night of drinking and fighting. On our journey, we stopped first at a great oak, at the base of which a rough carved stone was planted in the ground. The stone bore no name, but my brother and I lay a daffodil, each at our father's grave, and spent a quiet moment together. You believe your father to be dead? But I know he's dead. I helped bury him. I dug the grave. What the ground eats does not die. That's what they said when we mourned. We weren't lucky enough to have a vicar for the ceremony, nothing like that. A bunch of hippies, they spoke of our mother death and all her blessings, but it's all empty speech, soft words that people regurgitate to, I don't know, deplore the violent reality of the forest. Softness and violence are lovers, my dear. If you say so. But it doesn't matter what people say, my dad is no less dead. Anyway, after passing our father's grave, I took Michael. That's, was my brother, too. I took him to the first trap. The snare had been triggered and the ground around showed signs of disturbance. It fought for its life. It seemed it was won as well. The cord was broken. Crossed my mind that another predator might have beat us to the catch, but there were no signs of blood or torn fur that characterised such an encounter. Unfortunate, yeah, for our hungry stomachs, but I mean, nothing strange, nothing to worry us. I showed Mikey how to reset the trap and continued on to the next trap, which we found in a similar state to the first. This time I let him reset the trap. It's not a complex device, and he did as I instructed well. The next 3 snares we checked had gone untriggered, so I had Mikey place small chunks of meat within the hungry mouths of each snare in hopes of bringing in prey. Mikey made a noise of excitement as we approached the 6th snare. Snagged by the foot was a rabbit. It had clearly struggled for some time trying to break free, rubbing the flesh off its raw leg. As we approached, we saw that it had turned its teeth upon the rope that bound it and was close to freeing itself. My heart sort of sunk when I saw the approach of its escape. I'm not a soft person, I can't be. I've killed creatures larger, killed creatures cuter and more desperate, but there was something about the foul luck of this creature that we should find it just seconds before its escape that touched me in a way I didn't really expect. It occurred to me that it well could have been the same rabbit that escaped another of our snares. Jenna, look! I see it. Can I? Go for it, Mikey. Mikey, quick! Oh no! It's about to snap. I know! Mikey! Damn it! Michael? You okay? Huh. I did it! I really did it! You sure did. Can we... can we eat it? Sure. You know how to make a fire? Obviously. Without matches. Why? We have limited supplies of matches. The less you use, the better. Oh, just this time can we use matches? Just once. Sorry, bud. Didn't bring any. Oh, Dad taught me when I was younger than you. It's your turn to learn now. Fine. Alright, come on. Gather some dry kindling, bark, dead moss, twigs. I'll grab some bigger sticks. Will this do? Sure. Now, make that into a bit of a nest, and yeah. Yes, there you go. And sit on top of the sticks here. Okay. Make sure there's a bed of moss on top. There you go. Alright, what now? Alright. Come here. In my bag there should be a plastic bag and a water skin. Okay. Alright. Yeah, there we go. Now, take the water skin and pour some of the water into the bag. Not too much now. Oh, that'll do. And if you ever get caught without water, you can always use piss, so... Ew! Oh, shut up. Now, seal the bag and then twist it up at the opening end. No, not... Yeah, like that. How much? A little bit more... Stop. There you go. Good man. Okay, now for the frustrating part. I need you to orient the bag of water so that the sun is shining through. What we want is a sort of concentrated beam of light on the moss bed. If you want, you can pick up the nest to get a better position. Okay, that's nearly there. Hold that. That's good. How long's this going to take then? About 15 minutes or so. Jeez, 15 minutes? Hard to tell. Broke my watch a while back, remember? Why don't you just take Dad's watch? I'd rather not. Don't want to waste another timepiece, I guess. Heirlooms are meant to be passed down, love. I guess, but... So, after a while we got a flame. I blew on it gently until it began to crackle steadily. I had bled and skinned the rabbit as Michael prepared the fire, so I let him spit and roast it. He did so well with little guidance from me. Is something the matter? Fire is a terrible thing. It would be impossible to have a settlement nowadays without it. It roasts our food, it warms our homes. We can't rely on electricity. No other animal of this forest deals with the flickering beast. I guess so, but does any other animal live quite as long as a human? You have made your deal with the shadow caster to prolong your lives. I suppose if you're being poetic. Yeah. Man lights the flame so often it has climbed inside of you. Even the children are born with burning blood. It is the fire of man that burnt their cities to ash. My mum told me there were bombs. Man begets flame, and flame begets nothing but itself. You're not wrong. Anyway. Jenna, do you think it's ready yet? I'd give it another minute or so. Make sure it's proper tender. Jenna? Yeah? Are you like happy? Yes, of course I am. It's nice to teach you all the things Dad taught me. But, like, in general. What do you mean? Well, 'cause Dad seemed happy too, didn't he? But then he'd yell and cry when he thought we weren't around. When he thought you weren't around, I was always there. Yeah. Well, he was sick, right? That's what Mum says. In a way, yeah. Sick in the head. Mikey, wasn't he? Well, that's why yeah. Did he make you ill too? What? Did he pass it down? Like, no, that isn't how it... I mean, it makes me sad that he's gone, but it's my responsibility to take his place now. I mean, Nick clearly isn't stepping in, so...
Well, he's a drunkard prick.
Mikey, Nick's ill too, you can't say that. Jenna! No, Mikey, you need to No, Jenna, look! What? Our rabbit's gone.
Damn it! Someone took it!
Why wasn't I looking? I'm sorry, it's not your... I'm sorry, Michael, They went that way. Mikey, it could be dangerous, we can't... Thief! God damn it. Rabbit thief! Mikey, come back! I pursued my brother through the trees as he yelled and cursed. The forest was thick and the roots snatched at my feet. Mikey was small and nimble, weaving his way through the trees with ease. It didn't take him long to disappear from view. I shouted at him, told him to stop, slow down. I felt primal, furious and terrified. Tears, which I had hardly noticed falling until they began to sting, mixed with the blood that small sharp branches and brambles drew from my skin. I was an animal, reduced to barest instincts. My heart was pounding, and the howling of impulse, I guess, told me to flee, to abandon my brother and return home. Maybe that was sensible. I mean, I nearly did. I wish I did, but I didn't. And the trees were thinning out and the panic began to subside, and though my heart was still pounding, like it was like tearing from my chest, my mind began to clear. I could still hear my brother just over the drumbeat of the blood coursing through my ears. It was faint, so far off. I remember when I was young, I could hear yelling in the distance. We were living in a zero-court military camp back then. I was born there after everything went to shit.
I remember.
Do you remember how people would try to get in? Over the fence? There was yelling and screaming and gunshots. And...
Stay on track, love. I wish to hear your story.
I'm sorry, Dad.
You needn't apologise to me, dear. No matter how much your story winds and wends, it'll make its way to the conclusion.
It's not a pretty ending, I'm afraid.
It never is, love. If you live long enough, you'll find violent ends for all things. But there are more stories to come.
I followed the whispers of my brother's voice through the sparse wood life until I came eventually to a clearing. I wanted for a moment, just a moment, to fall to my knees and kiss the long, perfect green grass. It was a storybook clearing, and in the storybook clearing, there was a storybook mill. And on the storybook mill, there was a perfect, gaping, hungry storybook doorway. Like an injured moth to a flame, I walked slowly, but with a determination completely alien to me. I was a cautious woman. God, I am a cautious woman, I think. I would never approach a stranger without... I don't know. But however cautious I usually am, the allure of the mill completely overrode my better senses. There were 2 paths of trodden grass that joined just before the door. A third track joined them as I stood at the entrance to the large building. I stood there for a while, considering. Maybe it crossed my mind, and if it didn't, it should have, that, well, in all the years I've walked these woods, there's never been a mill. nor another traveller but myself. I mean, I certainly had my doubts. But the rhythmic beat of the sails that still spun on this impossible mill thumped almost to the rhythm of my own heart, joining on every second beat. And so I stepped, as if by the will of another mind, into the mill.
We are all driven by impulses not our own. As the moon pulls and pushes the tide, so too does the rhythm of nature spasm and dance through the limbs of flesh and wood. All things are under the purview of their mothers.
My mother, she must be missing me, us. She'll tell the others of the village. They'll come looking. I best be on my way. Rather, we ought to be on our way home. We don't want to waste anyone's time, do we?
Where is the village, love? I do seem to have lost my way home.
Well, I got quite turned around at the mill, you see, and I don't know quite where home is.
No matter. I'm sure that we will meander our way there. Eventually.
Well then, we really ought to set off.
We can stay another while, love. You found comfort in this, haven't you? And the chair is most comfortable, is it not? Against that tree.
It's like it... as if grown.
Almost so. Finish your tale.
Well, I stepped into the mill.
Mikey! Mikey! Jenna? Mikey, where are you? I'm upstairs, Jenna. Just up the stairs. Okay, I'm coming. Are you safe? Yes, Jenna, safe. What happened to the other person? They didn't make it. I'm stuck, Jenna. Stuck where, Mikey? Come upstairs. Michael, where are you stuck? I just need your help. Michael,
The room I entered was near pitch black, but I could tell the floor was wet and viscous as I heard the squelching of my boots and felt the water soak into my socks. From all around the room was a rank smell, something between the smell of dead rabbits and the smell of lake. Sort of a used condom. Not that I would know, it's just back in the military base the other girls used to tell stories about the male soldiers and
the sowing of seed is as foul a thing as the reaping that must follow.
What the hell's gotten into you with all this poetry?
Is it not to your liking? I used to read you poetry before you slept. Don't you remember?
That was nonsense poetry. Fun poetry, Dad. Not the kind of poems people spill blood over. You were fun. fun and practical. I mean, I know Mum said you read that kind of thing in your own time before everything burned, but that was never how you were with me. I can only be what I am, love. Fine. Well, I passed through the stinking room quickly, thankful it was much too dark to see the source of the smell, but I felt some kind of flowers brush my leg as I went through. At the end of the room, there was an opening and a staircase that twisted upwards towards the next floor. I nearly slipped on the soft, rotting staircase that I worried might break beneath my weight, but I continued up until I came to the next room. This next room was better lit, with huge windows all around that shed light upon an almost empty room. There was no machinery in this room, nothing to suggest it was the interior of a mill at all. All there was in the room was a cot, the kind a newborn baby would sleep in, not the American way. And there was a sort of mobile hanging over it. It was a large mobile. It had planets, stars, colours, little stick figures, cats, and flowers, and everything. Too much to remember properly or properly recount. It was all hanging there, in perfect view of any small child lying on their back in the crib. And that's when I got that terrible thought. My stomach turned, and it took some great deal of willpower to cast my eyes down into the crib. There was a small shape wrapped in the blankets. Small damp patches surrounded the base of the shape in the cot. Damp patches that tinged the white blankets red or sickly brown. I lifted, but it took some effort as the cough seemed to cling to its charge. It came through with a sucking noise, and as it lifted, the blankets slid aside to reveal flesh. Much to my horror, the blankets came away with brown and red soft pieces of meat attached. I was left with a tiny, broken skeleton, filthy with the meat that still clung to it. It was a rabbit skeleton. Almost certainly the one Mikey had killed. The one that had been stolen. Only that didn't make sense. Why would our prize be left here? Mikey said the thief hadn't made it, and if they had, why would they bother to wrap it in blankets and place it in the cart? It just didn't make sense, you know. And so I stood there. I placed the child back in the cot, and I proceeded up the stairs. The next room was lit similarly to the last, though there were fewer windows to the outside. Finally, there seemed to be some signs of real work done in the mill. There was a large wheel in the centre of the room. It had 5 or 6 spokes that protruded from the central mechanism. I assumed that the idea was that you could have 5 or 6 men pushing the wheel and grinding the wheat, I guess. It was kind of outdated and didn't seem to suit the kind of mill that I thought I had entered, but I mean, it fit the place more than the downstairs nursery, which brought me some small comfort. The boards were solid underfoot up here, and the air tasted like sweat and wood polish. There was a path that formed a belt around the central mechanism, where the wood had been warped and worn away by the rhythm of many heavy boots over the years. I took a few steps towards the wheel, placing my own feet into the worn path. My boots fit perfectly into the indent. I didn't notice that I was pushing the wheel until I was nearly halfway around. And that's when I saw something. Just a glimpse, but I could have sworn I saw a large, dark hand limp on the floor. Just the knuckles and fingers poking out from behind the central axle. I mean, thought at the time it was behind it, but looking back, it might have been inside. I don't know. I removed myself from the wheel, but it took some strain to not keep pushing, to keep walking that path. But I did, and walked around apprehensively to get a better look at the hand, but of course, as soon as I looked properly, there was no hand.
Mikey? How far up are you? Just another floor, Jenna. 2, maybe. Are you okay? Yes, Jenna. Safe. Take your time.
Don't sass me right now, Michael. Are you okay?
Not sassing, Jenna. Very safe. Take your time.
Another set of stairs. Another room. Only one window this time. A pinprick of light that shone onto a small yellow flower on a small, simple bed. Another nonsense room. I approached the single window, only I realised that it wasn't actually the only one. The room had just as many windows as the floor below, but all except that tiny circle of glass had been closed and bolted with heavy shutters. I looked out of the window just to check that the world outside still existed. It did. I saw the sails of the mill continue to spin. The storybook grass continued to sway. I didn't look too closely at the bed, for fear that I would not be able to resist the silk sheets and plush pillows, and that I might fall asleep, clutching that wilting daffodil. The room was dark, obviously, but I had no trouble finding the door. A final staircase, a final room, a garden. The ceiling and walls of the final room were rotting. Light poured in from a plethora of holes that riddled the ceiling, but the room was full of shadows still. Daffodils grew tall and healthy in the mulch here. It smelled just the same as the first room. Maybe a little sweeter. Maybe not. Before it was a garden, the room must have been a trophy room. Before it was a garden, the place must have been a trophy room. Preserved heads of various animals seemed to adorn the walls. Each looked as if they were simply dazed, sleeping.
Mikey? Jenna?
Mikey, where are you?
Over here, Jenna.
I can't see.
Come over, Jenna. I'm stuck. This place stinks.
I'm coming. So I approached the shadows that hid my brother from me. I know it sounds stupid, I know, but I wanted to get my brother out and go home. I just wanted to go home, Dad. I understand, love. It's okay. Well, I went into the shadows and I stumbled. I assumed my foot had got tangled in the daffodils, but when I attempted to get another step... Well, I went into the shadows and I stumbled. I assumed my foot had got tangled in the daffodils, but when I attempted to take another step, I fell, sprawling over something solid and horribly warm. My eyes were yet to adjust, and I had to feel the object to understand it, but all I could feel were flowers and grass and something underneath.
Mikey? Yes? Do you know what this is? The thief?
Mikey, what? I thought you said the thief didn't make it.
He didn't. Nobody does.
Oh my god, that's his face. What happened to him?
Nothing special. He lay down. In the bed? I don't understand, Mikey. Where are you? Up here!
I looked up from the corpse at my knees, finally adjusted to the dark, my eyes set upon a wolf's head bound to the wall. Its mouth was open and its tongue lolled out. Only, it wasn't a tongue. It was a hand. Small, tan and limp.
Where are... Oh my god, Mikey! Jenna? Are you okay? Yes. Mikey, what's going on? How did you take my hand, Jenna? But pull me out. What? Of course, I don't know if I can reach. You can. Right. Please, Jenna, pull me out. Just pull me out. I'm coming, Mikey, just...
I took a step forward to reach my brother's hand when I felt a damp... I took a step forward to reach my brother's hand when I felt something damp grasp my ankle. The thief, the man I thought had died, held me and spoke only once. Just one word.
Run!
I heard that word and faltered just before I could take my brother's hand. As I did, and you must believe me, as I did, the wolf's mouth sprung to life and began to howl. All at once, every animal head in the room did the same. Stags, rabbits, birds, all creatures screamed in absolute anguish. My hand brushed cold fingers and I recoiled, stepping back over the fallen man who released his grip on my ankle. The wolf maw opened wide in its howl. Then it opened wider, snapping the jaw with an awful crunch. And then wider and wider. The mouth tore apart, and then the bloody tear continued. It carved its way through the rotten wood. A mouth taller than 2 of me and wider than 10 opened, huge teeth revealed just behind the dripping boards. A fetid stench that rolled from the jaws choked me, strangling my attempted scream. My strangled scream was of fear, of course, but I screamed in anguish as well, joining the choir of the woods. My brother's torso hung from the roof of the great mall, his hand still outstretched, his mouth still croaking my name hollowly. Jenna? My brother. My brother is dead. I ran as fast as I could, and as I ran, more screaming mouths opened wider and wider and snapped at me hungrily, tearing at the air. As I ran, I prayed, and I never prayed. But I prayed that the wall I was sprinting at was as rotten and fragile as it looked. I angled my shoulder towards the wall and jumped. Something snapped in both me and the wall, and then I was tumbling through into open air, 5 stories high. My momentum was carrying me forward, and I hit into one of the membranous sails before I understood what I had done. Then I was scrambling and clawing and yelling, and I grabbed onto something. The frame of the sail, I guess. I hardly understood the pain when it came surging through my shoulder, but I held on all the same, though I slipped further down the sail each moment. And then I fell, and I hit the ground. I blacked out for a moment, but I guess the sail had carried me close enough to the ground to survive the fall. I ran then. I ran and stumbled and wept, reduced again to an animal as I crashed through the trees that seemed to grasp at me as I ran. I wondered, as I felt those grasping roots, how large the creature that digested my brother had been. God, I know that's silly, of course. The mill was already absurdly large. A creature any larger than that would be impossible. I know it's silly. Things don't just...
That isn't silly, love. It's okay. Come here, Jenna.
I'm so sorry I lost him, Daddy. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry, love. We'll put this all behind us now. We're going home.
I hope you enjoyed the mail. It was written, directed, and performed by me. It was edited and soundscaped by Taiva, and produced by me. All images by Alice Crowley. Thank you for listening. Next month's genre will be body horror. See you then.